Hello friends, welcome to Affairs Cloud Learn to Lead. This is Ashu and today we will discuss very important current affairs of 7th of May 2021. You can see two best images of the day, but today we will discuss very important and most important current affairs, so watch this video till end. But I am requesting you all the students that you have to like this video, you have to share this video as maximum as possible, and you have to subscribe our channel if you are new on this platform. Guys, you can download our application. Application name is Careers Cloud. You can see here, this is Careers Cloud, and you can download this application from the description box link. And after downloading, you can log in with your email ID, and after login you have to click on this crack current affair section, and you can subscribe for 1 year as well as for 2 year. It means you can subscribe for 12 months and 24 months. Both the subscription prices are very much low. If you see the price, you will definitely surprise that this good quality content will be provided to you under very low subscription charges. What we are providing under this subscription, we are providing daily current affairs. In the daily current affair section, we are providing three things. One is related to the detailed current affair of particular day, question and answer format of current affair of particular day, and third is the quiz section which you can attempt on a application. Next is the weekly section. In the weekly section, we are again providing three type of the sections. One is related to the detailed current affair of particular week. Next is the question and answer format of current affair of particular week, and third is the quiz section which you can attempt on a application. Next is the monthly section. In the monthly section, we are providing four type of the sections. One is related to the detailed current affair of particular month, like study PDF. It means all the detail and theoretical current affair and well explained current affair will be provided under study PDF. To revise this current affair in the question and answer format, we are providing full month question and answer PDF. Next is the top 100 current affair. It means the best 100 current affair will be provided to you. That is also provided in the form of question and answer. Next is the pocket PDF. That is again very important because as the name suggests, it is very important to revise the current affair very quickly before your exam. So you have to just pick this pocket PDF and you can revise all the current affair of particular month in the one-liner or the two-liner format. So this is daily, weekly and the monthly section. We are also providing smart PDFs which are enhance your performance in your examination. Like first is the topic PDF, which is also known as the smart PDF, because we are providing most important 20 type of the topics in the PDF format, so that you can revise particular topic before your exam if you feel that topic is your weak. If, like example, you can say apps and web portals are there, important days are there, books and authors are there, national current affair, international current affair. There are so many sections you can revise before your exam. Next is banking awareness. This section specially created for the banking students. Like we are providing three sections. One is related to detailed current affair only related to banking and economy, question and answer format of the current affair only related to banking and economy, and third is the quiz section which you can attempt on an application and check that how much banking and economy current affair you can retain. Next is the exam PDF. If you just want to revise all the current affair of particular year from one PDF, then this PDF is for you. It means suppose your exam is tomorrow and you just want to revise all 4 months current affair from one PDF, then you have to just pick this PDF, exam PDF, and you can revise all the current affair, all the past current affair till date. Next is the special current affair. It stands for budget and economic survey. It means we are providing detailed budget and economic survey and also providing the expected question and answer which examiner can ask in your exam. Next is state current affair. It will enhance your state exam performance definitely, because we are covering every state and union territory, so that you can also cover the state current affair here. So guys, there is no different subscription for every topic. There is only single subscription for all of these things, and you have to just download our application Careers Cloud, and you have to log in with your email ID, and you can click on this crack current affair section and you can subscribe for 1 year as well as for 2 year. Both the prices are very much low. If you see, you will definitely surprise, and already price is minimal, but on that minimal price we are again providing 10% extra discount. If you use this code ASH10, then you will get 10% extra discount. You can reach us on this email ID. If you have any type of query, you can call us on this number again for any type of query, or you can comment on any video. I am personally entertaining all the comments and I am answering all the comments. So guys, we will solve your query in the comment box also. So let's start today's current affair. That is 7th of May 2021. But I am again requesting you all the students that you have to provide us 700 plus like. This is the only motivation you can provide us, and you can subscribe our channel if you're new on this platform, and you have to share this video as maximum as possible. So let's begin today's session with the most important questions, and here is first question. Which country will host G20 presidency in the year of 2022? So guys, mark this question in the most important section, because we are talking about 2022 presidency. If you know that Saudi Arabia already hosted 2020 presidency, it means A cannot be the answer. Italy is hosting 2021 presidency of G20. It means Italy cannot be the answer. Germany, yes, it can be, but answer of this question is D. Indonesia. Indonesia is hosting G20 presidency of 2022. So guys, mark this question in the most important question, because we are talking about a group that is very, very important. If you are talking about the global politics or the global development, then this is the G20. And guys, you have to remember, because 2021 year is currently going on and G20 presidency lies with Italy. And you can also see here, Union Minister of State for Tourism and Culture, Shri Prahlad Singh Patel, virtually participate G20 tourism ministers meeting held in Italy, because Italy is currently the president of G20. So guys, remember this. And you can also see this, Prahlad Singh Patel, this is very important because member of parliament from Damoh constituency. You have to remember the name of the constituency, Damoh constituency of the Madhya Pradesh. And he participated in 2021 G20 tourism ministers meeting held in Italy. By default, who will be the tourism minister will attend this type of the meeting, either G20 or G7 or any type of the group. India will support the principles for transition to a green travel. It means India will focus on the green energy as well as the green travel, like you can say the electric vehicles, and especially the safe mobility, crisis management, resilience, green transformation, green you can say the digital transition, and investment and infrastructure, which are comprehensive and relevant for the resilient and sustainable and inclusive tourism, framed with the support of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. So the G20 is made up of 19 countries and the European Union. You have to remember, this G20 organization was formed in 1999. And you have to remember, there are total 19 countries and one organization, not the 20 countries. This is most important thing about the G20. Examiner can confuse you that under G20 how many countries are member. So 19 countries are member and one is the European Union. China is also the member of this organization. India is also member, China is also member, but Pakistan is not a member of this organization. But you have to remember, Spain is the permanent guest invitee of this organization, that is G20. And Indonesia will host the G20 presidency in year of 22. And current president of this G20 presidency of 2020, that is Italy, and Italy Prime Minister is Mario Draghi. Remember, Mario Draghi, and he is currently the Prime Minister of Italy. That's why the chairman of G20 is also the Prime Minister of Italy. Now we can move to the next question. Who received the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award at Oscar 2021? Guys, mark this question in the most important section, because this is a new type of the award. I think you are listening. The award name is Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award, and it is awarded at the Oscar ceremony of 2021. So friends, first question arises here, that this award is given to whom? This award is basically presented to an individual in the motion picture industry whose humanitarian efforts have brought credit to the industry. And this award is named after Danish actor and translator Jean-Pierre Carl Buron, who is professionally known as Jean Hersholt. That's why this award named as Jean Hersholt, and who was also a philanthropist. And answer of this question, we can eliminate the option. Like Anthony Hopkins won the Best Actor award in the Oscar 2021. Next is, you can say here, Chloe Zhao also won the Best Director for the movie Nomadland, and Frances McDormand also won the Best Actress in the Oscar 2021. So guys, you can remember, only option left is Tyler Perry. So remember, answer is C. American actor Tyler Perry received the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award, an Oscar statue at the 93rd Academy Awards, or you can say the Oscar 2021 ceremony. You can see here, he was honored for his contribution towards the recovery of entertainment industry amid the COVID-19 pandemic. And this award was named after the name of Jean Hersholt, who was a philanthropist. So guys, remember this award name, remember who won this award. This is the only thing you have to remember. Now we can move to the next thing. Next is very important question section. We discussed two most important question section in the 7th of May, because only two are there. So now we are moving to the very important question section. You have to provide us 700 plus likes. You have to subscribe this channel if you're new on this platform, and you have to share this video as maximum as possible. And here is the first question in the very important section. What is the name of SpaceX Starship rocket prototype which was successfully completed the test flight at the high altitude ascent and landing for the first time? So mark this question in the very important section. Friends, we are talking about the most important space organization all over world, that is SpaceX. And the rocket launched from Texas base of the SpaceX in the United States of America and reached its planned maximum altitude of 10 kilometer and successfully landed back at the planned site. And answer of this question is SN15. So guys, remember, answer of this question is D, SN15. You have to just remember the name, because the previous test flights of Starship prototypes like SN8 was there, SN9, 10, 11, these all the four blasted off successfully but failed to make poor landing. So guys, this was the first time that this testing was completed, because ascent was successful and landing was also successful. And SN15 successful landing came on the 60th anniversary of the flight of Alan Shepard. You have to remember this name, Alan Shepard. You have to write this, Alan Shepard. Alan Shepard is the first American in space. You have to remember this. And you can see here SpaceX launched lands Starship first successful flight, and it looks like this. And you can see here SpaceX successfully completed a high altitude ascent and landing of Starship rocket prototype SN15 for the first time, and it completed the 10-kilometer ascent and landed back at the planned site. This is the first time, because earlier SN8, SN9, 10 and 11 blasted off successfully but failed to make proper landing. And recently NASA has awarded a USD 2.9 billion contract to SpaceX to take astronauts from the lunar orbit to the surface of the moon. This is achievement of the SpaceX, and the Starship rocket is SpaceX next generation launch vehicle. It aims to make human space travel more affordable and routine. Remember, I am writing here the name, that is Starship. This is a dream project of SpaceX, and this is a rocket of SpaceX next generation vehicle. It aims to make human space travel more affordable and the routine. SpaceX already planned its first orbital Starship flight by the end of 2021. So guys, you have to remember Starship. This is very important word. And SpaceX announced its plan for the world's first all-civilian mission to space. This mission is named as Inspiration 4. We already covered this question so many times, but Inspiration 4 is basically recognition of the 4-person crew to support St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. This is Inspiration 4. You have to remember the name. That is the first, you can say, first world civilian mission to space. This will be launched by SpaceX, and it will be launched by the end of 2021. This mission is known as Inspiration 4. And SpaceX, you know that its headquarters is in California, United States of America. CEO is most important person all over world, that is Elon Musk. So guys, remember SN15 is there. Now we can move to next question. Which country recently launched Yaogan 34 remote sensing satellite? So the most important keyword of this question is Yaogan or Yaogan 34. Yaogan 34 is an optical remote sensing satellite of this country, and it will be used for the survey of land resources, urban planning, the confirmation of land rights, road network design, crop yield estimation, and disaster prevention and the reduction. So it means this satellite will definitely provide some data so that the country can make their plan for the achievement of the targets. And this country is, guys, China. So remember, answer of this question is B, and Yaogan 34 is related to China. You have to just remember the name Yaogan, because 34, 32, 14, 15, these are basically named of this remote sensing satellite. You have to just remember this first initial, Yaogan. And Yaogan 34 satellite will provide support for the implementation of major national strategies and the modernization of national defense of the China. So you can also see this remote sensing satellite. This is Yaogan, and China successfully launched this remote sensing satellite. And we covered all these points, but you have to remember the rocket which is carrying this Yaogan 34 remote sensing satellite, that is Long March 4C rocket, which is also belongs to China. And the launch of Yaogan 34 was the 12th orbital launch attempt from the China so far this year. And China, you all know, capital is Beijing, currency is renminbi, and President is Xi Jinping. And China's space agency known as CNSA. CNSA stands for China National Space Administration, and headquarters in Beijing, China. And who is administrator of this Chinese space agency? Zhang Kezian. 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 Zhang Kezian. And who is the administrator of NASA? NASA's administration is Bill Nelson. He was recently appointed as the 14th administrator of the NASA. So remember this. Now we can move to the next question. Which bank was selected as a digital payment partner by the National Agriculture Market, or known as the ENAM, to facilitate online transactions for all the stakeholders? So there are two most important things. One is the name of the bank, because it will take care of all the transactions which will lead to the ENAM transactions. And the second thing most important is the National Agriculture Market, or the ENAM. So friends, what is ENAM? It is an agriculture e-marketplace. Agriculture e-marketplace that facilitate buying and selling of agricultural commodities. It means it is a platform where all the buying and the sellers, or the buyers and the sellers, can integrate at one platform. It was established by Networking Agriculture Produce Market Committee, or you can say APMC, and there are across 1.68 crore farmers registered on this platform, and at present it covers 1,000 mandis, that are the online mandis, across 18 states and 3 union territories. It covers 18 states and 3 union territories. This is important. Now question is, which bank was selected as a digital payment partner for this ENAM? This is Kotak Mahindra Bank. So answer of this question is B. And under this partnership, the bank will provide all the payment and clearing and settlement services. So you can see here Kotak Mahindra Bank and ENAM, and Kotak Mahindra Bank selected as the digital payment partner of the ENAM. So you have to remember, this is very important question, and this can come 90% chances are there. This question will come in the banking exam. And bank will facilitate online transactions for all the stakeholders on the ENAM platform, including farmers, traders, and the farmer producer organizations. And guys, under this partnership, bank will provide payment clearing and the settlement services, and they will use these services by integrating its payment system and the portal directly with the payment interface of the ENAM platform. It will enable a trade facility between a buyer and the seller, so that all the transactions will be taken care by the Kotak Mahindra Bank. And the Kotak become one of the first banks to join ENAM as an online payment and transaction partner. Another bank can be attached, but one of the most important bank here is the Kotak Mahindra Bank. And guys, you have to remember, recently Kotak Mahindra Bank, like in March 2021, Kotak Mahindra Bank signed a MOU with the Indian Army. So the most important thing, Indian Army is a government body, and Kotak Mahindra Bank is a private body. So Kotak Mahindra Bank signed a MOU with the Indian Army at New Delhi for providing salary accounts, to all the active and retired army personnel. So this is very important thing, you have to remember this. And remember about ENAM. ENAM was established in which year? ENAM was established in 2016, and it was a very good initiative of the Prime Minister Modi ji, or you can say the BJP government, and its headquarters is in New Delhi, and it was launched by the Ministry of Agriculture, Government of India, and the portal is managed by the Small Farmers Agri-Business Consortium, or you can say SFAC. So remember, the portal of ENAM is managed by Small Farmers Agri-Business Consortium. And remember about Kotak Mahindra Bank, this was established in 1985, and it is the India's first non-banking finance company which is converted into bank. This is important thing. It is India's first non-banking finance company which is converted into bank. It was established in 1985. Its headquarters is in Mumbai, Maharashtra. Its MD and CEO, very important because recently time period was increased, and this is Uday Kotak. And tagline is, let's make money simple. Let's make money simple. So now we are moving to the next question. Xylophis dipaki, a new species of which reptile was discovered in the Western Ghats from Kanyakumari, Tamil Nadu? So two things are very important under this question. One is the name of the species. Name of the species is Xylophis dipaki, and second, it is found in Tamil Nadu, or you can say Western Ghats or the Kanyakumari. The answer of this question is snake, and Xylophis dipaki is a new species of tiny snake, was discovered in the Western Ghats from Kanyakumari, Tamil Nadu, and the new species is named after the Indian herpetologist. So I am just giving you one question. Herpetologist Deepak Virappan, to honor his contribution in erecting a new subfamily to accommodate wood snakes. And guys, remember, what is the meaning of this herpetologist? This question can come in the your English paper, and also can come in the GS paper. That herpetologist is a zoologist who studies reptiles and amphibians. Remember, I am repeating myself. Herpetologist is a zoologist who studies reptiles and amphibians. So you have to remember this. You can also see this. The new species is named after Indian herpetologist Deepak Virappan to honor his contribution in erecting a new subfamily, Xylophinae, to accommodate wood snakes. And guys, that's why the species name Xylophis dipaki. Dipaki is basically a name of this herpetologist, that is Deepak Virappan. The common name of this new species is Deepak's wood snake. Deepak's wood snake. So all these things basically belongs to this herpetologist, that is Deepak Virappan. You have to remember the name, Deepak Virappan. And this Xylophis deepaki is found in the, you can say, the lower altitude areas around the Agastyamalai hills. And the new species is related to Captain wood snake of the western slope of the Western Ghats in the Kerala. And the discovery of this new species has increased the total number of recognized wood snakes to 5. It means now, after this discovery, total number of the recognized wood snakes are 5. And the new species is endemic to Tamil Nadu and is found in the rubber, banana and the coconut farms. So you have to remember these things. And wood snakes are harmless, or you can say generally found in the farms and the Western Ghat forest. Now we can move to the next question. Which institute has discovered India's first vaccine for the viral nervous narcosis disease, which affects various species of fishes? So the most important thing under this question, or the keyword, is viral nervous narcosis. So you have to remember this. This is a disease of fish. And guys, the VNN disease, or this viral nervous necrosis, is a disease that affects various brackish water and freshwater fish and causing up to 100% mortality in the early juvenile stages. And this institute who developed this vaccine, that is the Central Institute of Brackish Water Aquaculture. And this institute is in Chennai. It means we are talking about the state Tamil Nadu. Central Institute of Brackish Water Aquaculture. I will tell you all the headquarters of these institutes in the BCD option, but first of all, we have to discuss about this is caused by the nervous necrosis virus, which affects various species of fish, and the VNN disease affect the various brackish water in the freshwater fish, causing up to 100% mortality in the early juvenile stages. And even after this discovery, various government and the private enterprises have signed an MOU with this institute, that is Central Institute of Brackish Water Aquaculture, for the transfer of this technology. So this is a very good thing for the for preservation, or you can say the conservation of the fishes. So now let's talk about the other institutes and their headquarters. So first here institute is Central Marine Fisheries Research Institute. This institute is stated in Kerala. This institute is in Kerala. Next, Central Inland Fisheries Research Institute. This institute is in West Bengal. West Bengal. Next, Central Institute of Fisheries Education. This is in Maharashtra. So you have to just read this so that if any institute come, you can just tick the right option, like Kerala, West Bengal and Maharashtra. Now we can move to the next question. Which institute launched Mission Bharat O2? O2 stands for oxygen, to tackle oxygen crisis, because due to COVID-19 or large number of the COVID-19 patient, the oxygen crisis is currently going on in India. So that's why yesterday we covered a question that 581 oxygen plants will be set up in India, and Nahai will be the partner for the you can say the civil and the electrical works for all these oxygen plants. And now one institute launched a project for the development of the oxygen, and you can say to tackle the oxygen crisis, and this institute is IIT Kanpur. So answer of this question is C. So there is a one innovation hub of IIT Kanpur, that is known as Startup Incubation and Innovation Center, or you can say SIIC. So you have to remember, Startup Incubation and Innovation Center of IIT Kanpur has launched this Mission Bharat O2 challenge to develop indigenously solution for solving India's oxygen crisis. And you can also see this Startup Incubation and Innovation Center of this IIT Kanpur has launched this Mission Bharat Oxygen Challenge to develop indigenously solution for the solving India's oxygen crisis. And this institute aims to support innovative minds of India to set up more than 20,000 oxygen generation units, like small units, and work with a set of manufacturers in different regions in India with the target of production capacity of 100 units per day, so that this crisis can over. Even we can take care of the patients related to the COVID-19, and this panic situation in India can be tackled. So this is a very good thing which is started by this IIT Incubation Center, that is known as Startup Incubation and the Innovation Center. So you have to just remember the question as in slide. Now we can move to the next question. National Dairy Development Board signed a MOU with whom to promote efficient renewable technology in the dairy industry. So the most important thing here is the National Dairy Development Board. This organization is important. And second thing, the organization which they signed a MOU for the promotion of the renewable technologies in the dairy industry. So answer of this question is B, Energy Efficiency Services Limited. So you have to remember Energy Efficiency Services Limited. It means this organization EESL will propose different technically sound energy generation solution for the dairy plants for meeting the need of electricity, or you can say a steam and the hot water in the dairy cooperative networks across the country, so that this dairy sector will become the self-reliant in the energy sector. So they will use the solar based energy, they will use the wind based energy. It means they will use the renewable sources of the energy. So all this will be provided by Energy Efficiency Services Limited. So you can see here National Dairy Development Board and EESL to develop initiative energy efficient solution for the dairy sector. And you can also see here this both the organizations will work to design and develop innovative energy efficient business solutions for dairy cooperative institutions. And guys, they will collaborate with different agencies for adopting non-conventional energy generating facilities for the disposal of crop residues, or you can say agriculture waste and the bio waste in an environmental friendly manner. So how we can use this crop residue, agriculture waste and bio waste, so that we can convert this disposal into a you can say non-conventional energy sources. So EESL will propose different technically sound energy generation solution for the dairy product. This is the work of the EESL. And guys, remember recently Union Ministers jointly launched a unified portal of Gobardhan. Gobardhan is basically to promote the galvanizing organic bio agro resources done scheme. We covered this question in the most important question when it was basically launched in February 2021. And this initiative aims to manage cattle and biodegradable waste and also help enhance farmers' income, because farmer will establish this Gobardhan unit, and this will manage cattle and the biodegradable waste and also enhance the income of the farmers. And the portal also helps to track the real-time progress of the scheme. So this portal was recently launched in February 2021. But you have to remember about this organization, National Dairy Development Board. This is important because recently the chairman was changed, and chairman currently is Varsha Joshi. Remember, Varsha Joshi. Firstly, she was appointed on the temporary basis, but now she is the permanent chairman of this National Dairy Development Board. Headquarters is in Anand. Headquarters is in Anand, Gujarat, and it was established in 1987 by the Act of Parliament of 1987. It means it is a statutory body. Any body which is created with the Act of Parliament, it means it is a statutory body. Next, here is the Energy Efficiency Services Limited. This organization is promoted by the Ministry of Power under the Government of India, and it is a joint venture of NTPC Limited, Power Finance Corporation, or you can say REC Limited and Power Grid Corporation, but you don't have to remember that it is a joint venture. It was established in 2009 to promote the renewable energy resources or to promote the non-conventional energy resources. Headquarters is in New Delhi. Chairman is Shri Rajiv Sharma. Shri Rajiv Sharma. And who is the managing director? Managing director is Shri Rajat Kumar Sood. Rajat Kumar Sood. So Rajiv and Rajat, you can remember. Rajiv is chairman and Rajat is managing director. Now we can move to next question. Former Union Minister Chaudhry Ajit Singh passed away. He was founder of which party? So very important question. You have to mark this question in the very important section, because this question will come 90% in your exam. Can come 90% in your exam. So let's eliminate the options. One is the Lok Janshakti Party. This party was basically created by late Ram Vilas Paswan ji. Ram Vilas Paswan ji. So this cannot be the answer. Next is Rashtriya Lok Dal. Rashtriya Lok Dal. Yes, guys, this is the answer. B is the answer, because this is the party which is created by Chaudhry Ajit Singh in 1996, because he was earlier served as the president of Lok Dal and the Janata Party in 1987 and 1988, but later he founded this party, that is Rashtriya Lok Dal, in 1996. And Rashtriya Janata Dal, or this is RJD, it was created by Lalu Prasad Yadav ji. Lalu Prasad Yadav ji. Next is Janata Dal United. It is created by Nitish Kumar ji. So you have to remember all the parties are basically belongs to Bihar and the Uttar Pradesh. So remember the founders of these parties, because these are the regional parties, not the national parties. So Rashtriya Lok Dal is created by Chaudhry Ajit Singh. So you have to remember, because he was a 7-time member of parliament. This is the biggest thing. 7-time member of parliament from the Bagpat constituency. Bhagpat constituency of Uttar Pradesh. You have to remember the constituency, especially if you belongs to Uttar Pradesh. This is the most important question for you. That what is the name of constituency of Chaudhry Ajit Singh? And he was the son of former Prime Minister of India Chaudhry Charan Singh. And remember, he was the one of the first IITians in the Indian politics. So he was very educated because he was the IITian. So former Union Minister Ajit Singh passed away. You can see the picture. I think you have seen so many times. Ajit Singh, the son of former Prime Minister Chaudhry Charan Singh, was one of the first IITians in the Indian politics, and he was 7-time member from the Baghpat constituency of Uttar Pradesh, and he has served the Union Food Minister under the government led by the Narasimha Rao in 1991 to 96. So you have to remember. He has also served as a Minister of Agriculture from 2001 to 2003, and in 2011 he served as the Minister of Civil Aviation. It means 3 ministries basically he served. One is the Food Ministry, second is Agriculture, third is the Civil Aviation. So you have to just read this 3 ministries. Which are these 3 ministries? And he was 7-time member of parliament. This is most important thing under this question. And he belongs to which state? He belongs to Uttar Pradesh because he was born in Meerut, Uttar Pradesh. Now we can move to next question. Which is the symbol or what is the symbol of the International No Diet Day 2021? Or you can just simply say International No Diet Day is celebrated on which year, on which day, and first time it was celebrated in which year. So you have to remember this day is annually observed across the globe on 6th of May. On 6th of May. So why this day is celebrated? It is just to celebrate body acceptance and diversity. And the day is dedicated to promote a healthy lifestyle and create awareness about the various eating disorders and danger of the dieting. So you have to remember the blue ribbon. Blue ribbon is basically a symbol of the International No Diet Day. So remember blue ribbon. This is a new kind of thing you have to remember. And first International No Diet Day was celebrated in which year? It was celebrated in 1992. So you can see here International No Diet Day was celebrated on 6th of May 2021. So it doesn't mean that you can eat whatever you want, but it means that you have to just focus on the good diet, and especially the creating awareness about the various eating disorders and the dangers. So this is the day, and the first time this day was celebrated in United Kingdom in 1992, and the blue ribbon is the symbol of International No Diet Day. So even you can say what can be the goals of this International No Diet Day. So its main goal is to celebrate the beauty and diversity of all shapes and sizes. That's why its name is the No Diet Day. And to educate the facts about weight loss, dieting and health and the body size. And it can also educate about the weight loss effects due to dieting. And it can recognize how dieting preserve the violence against women, and to support against weight discrimination, sizeism and fat phobia. So these are the things which this International Day can basically create awareness about this. So now we can move to the next question, but you have to remember this day. This is a new kind of day and you can, I think, remember easily. Next is from the picture that Union Ministry of Labour and Employment notifies Section 142 under the Social Security Code, which was passed in 2020, which covers availability or the applicability of the Aadhaar card. So the most important thing under this picture is this Section 142. And it comes under the Social Security Code of 2020. It means Minister of Labour and Employment has notified this section of the Social Security Code 2020, which covers the applicability of the Aadhaar. And it will enable the Labour Ministry to collect Aadhaar data for the workers in the unorganized sector, because already there is a data of Aadhaar workers in the organized sector, but we don't have any Aadhaar data of the workers in the unorganized sector. So Section 142 specially lays down about to collect the Aadhaar data of the workers in the unorganized sector, and it will help the government to extend benefits to the workers under various social security schemes. And the Aadhaar details will be uploaded in the National Database for Unorganized Workers, which was recently launched by Nirmala Sitharaman, National Database for Unorganized Workers, or you can say NDUW, and which is developed by the National Informatics Center. All the basic portals, or you can say the websites, are basically developed by the National Informatics Center. And the Social Security Code 2020 is not implemented yet, so you have to remember it will be implemented. And this Social Security Code 2020 will subsume 9 labor laws. And this was was basically notified by the government that it will merge 9 labor laws like Employee Compensation Act of 1923, Employee State Insurance Act of 1942, and so many acts. But you don't have to remember these 9 acts. So this is a very, you can say, create extra burden on your brain, and it is a very useless thing to remember all the 9 acts. So you don't have to just remember, you have to just remember about this section 142, which belongs to this Aadhaar card uploading in the national database of unorganized workers, especially unorganized workers. So you have to remember this. And remember, Ministry of Labor, who is Union Minister of Labor? Union Minister of Labor is Santosh Kumar Gangwar. Santosh Kumar Gangwar. Lok Sabha constituency is Bareilly in Uttar Pradesh. Now we can move to next section. It is our important question section, guys. You have to provide us 700 plus likes. You have to subscribe this channel if you're new on this platform, and you have to share this video as maximum as possible. Here is the first question in the important section. Telecom Equipment Manufacturer Association of India, that is also known as the TEMA, has signed a MOU with whom to jointly promote Atmanirbhar Bharat. It means one of the country like Israel, Canada, Japan or Iran will promote India's target, that is Atmanirbhar Bharat. And this country or this organization is Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce, or this is also known as ICCC, Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce. So it will also facilitate investment and manufacturing in telecom, information and communication technology, railways, healthcare, agriculture and the smart cities. It will definitely promote the Atmanirbhar Bharat, and it will definitely, you can say, achieve the target to make good relation between the two countries like India and Canada. You can also see this Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce partners with this organization. I think you are listening this organization first time, that is known as TEMA, Telecom Equipment Manufacturer Association of India, and its head office is in New Delhi, guys, and its chairman is Ravi Sharma. But don't remember, this is not important because you are listening this organization first time. It means this is not so much in news, so examiner will not ask this. And don't remember even about Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce. You have to just remember the name, and its head office by default is in Toronto, Canada. And you can see here it will facilitate investment in different sectors like telecom, information and communication technology, railways, healthcare is most important, agriculture and smart cities. MOU will help the both entities to cooperate on a series of mutually benefited matters, so that maximum to maximum investment can be generated in India, so that India can become the self-reliant, and maximum to maximum indigenously things can be created in India. So the collaboration will work to facilitate and expedite the comprehensive economic partnership agreement, which will definitely increase the trade with India, and which is yet to be finalized. But it is not finalized, but if it is finalized, then it will promote the trade between India and Canada. So you have to just learn about this news. You have to just read this news. It is not so much important. Now moving to next, small hydropower plant built with Indian assistance inaugurated in which country? So again, this question is not so much important, but this is the information that India has provided some assistance like almost 1.64 crore rupees to this country for this small hydropower plant. And this is, guys, Nepal. And a small hydropower plant, and this was established in Nepal and in the Chandan Nath municipality in Nepal, in the Jumla district of Nepal, that was newly rehabilitated with India financial assistance of almost 1.64 crore. It was virtually inaugurated by Embassy of India in Nepal. And the small hydro plant was basically 200 megawatt power production, and it was damaged due to natural disaster. So India provided under the Nepal Bharat Development Corporation, and it was utilized for the construction of reservoir tanks and rehabilitation of the hydropower plant. So you, I think, all know about the Nepal. Nepal president is Vidya Devi Bhandari, capital is Kathmandu, currency is NPR or the Nepalese rupees. So this is very simple question. You have to just remember the country under which India provided some assistance. Now we can move to the next section. It is our one-liner important point. Here is the first point. First point is NASA's Parker solar probe detected radio signals from Venus. So first of all, you have to remember the name of the spacecraft. Spacecraft name is Parker Solar Probe, or the Parker. You have to just remember the name of the spacecraft. The NASA spacecraft Parker Solar Probe has discovered a natural radio signal from the Venus. These signals were detected when the space probe flew over the upper atmosphere of Venus, because according to the findings of this Parker Solar Probe, just like the Earth, planet Venus has also an electrically charged layer of gas in its upper atmosphere, which is on the Earth it is called the ionosphere. The space probe has also confirmed that the upper Venus atmosphere undergoes changes over a solar cycle. So you have to just remember the name of the spacecraft which detected the radio signal from the Venus. Next, India GDP growth Fitch forecast 9.5% for financial year 22, and Standard and Poor Global Rating forecast 9.8% for the financial year 22. Earlier, Fitch rating agency forecasted about almost 12.8%, but due to rising of the COVID-19 cases, they reduced the Indian GDP growth rate by the 9.5%, and S&P earlier predicted the 11% growth in the financial year 22, but now they are predicting 9.8%. You have to just read this because they are basically changing the prediction rate due to rising of the COVID-19 cases. Earlier, we covered so many forecast by the so many companies. So guys, you don't have to remember this. Next, United States of America approved 550 million Crimson solar project in California desert. So this question is not so much important, but we are covering every question. That's why we covered. But it is a basically only the United States specific news, because they are basically establishing a solar project in the desert area, that is California desert, and it is capable of powering almost about 90,000 homes, and it is being developed by the Canadian solar unit Recurrent Energy Company and will deliver power to the California utility or the Southern California Edison. And this project will be installed on 2,000 acre of the federal land in the California, and it will definitely provide the powering of almost 90,000 homes. So you have to just read this news that there is just a general knowledge thing. At least 155 million people faced acute food insecurity in 2020. This is a report of GNAFC report. First of all, what is this GNAFC? GNAFC stands for Global Network Against Food Crisis, and they launched one report that is known as Global Report on Food Crisis 2021. Global Report on Food Crisis of 2021. You have to remember at least 155 million people faced acute food security in 2020 due to conflict, you can say, due to extreme weather conditions or the economic shocks caused by the COVID-19. And especially the region which faced acute food security, that is African region. And factors are like conflict, economic shocks due to COVID-19, weather extremism, or you can say there are very severe weather changes in some areas, so that's why there is a food insecurity. And remember about Global Network Against Food Crisis is a organization that is launched by the 4 organizations: European Union, FAO, United Nations and World Food Program launched this GNAFC or Global Network Against Food Crisis in 2016. And guys, its headquarters is in Rome, Italy, because Food and Agriculture Organization also headquartered in Rome, Italy. Next, phase 3 of Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana for another period of 2 months that will extend from May to June 2021. So recently the cabinet has accorded approval for the allocation of additional food grain under the phase 3 of the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana for another 2 months. Like they extended this scheme for the another 2 months like May and June 2021. And each beneficiary will get almost 5 kg of rice per month at free of cost. And it is said to benefit around 79 crore people covered under the National Food Security Act of 2013. And the allocations were aimed at alleviating the hardship faced by the poor due to economic disruption caused by COVID-19, and so many states put lockdown in the this COVID-19 worst situation. Next, cabinet approved strategic disinvestment and management control transfer of this IDBI bank. So it will be the strategic disinvestment, which was also announced by Nirmala Sitharaman ji in the Union Budget of Financial Year 21-22, because Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman ji stated that privatization of IDBI bank along with the 2 other state banks run by the states in financial year 22 with the disinvestment target of almost 1.75 crore rupees. So this is a target of disinvestment in the financial year of 21-22, 1.75 lakh crore rupees. And guys, remember 94% of the equity of IDBI bank was owned by 2 entities. One is the Government of India, second is the Life Insurance Company. But Maxim is holded by Life Insurance Company. LIC is holding almost 49.24%. And Government of India is owing 45.48. It means IDBI is basically, you can say, controlled by this LIC. And currently IDBI Bank has LIC as its management controller and promoter of the bank, with Government of India as the co-promoter. So that's why Government of India has small share and Government of India is a co-promoter, and main management controller and promoter is LIC. And in March 2021, Reserve Bank removed the LIC controlled IDBI Bank from its prompt corrective action due to you can say the large NPAs, because they reduce the large NPAs. And you can also say that after disinvestment of IDBI Bank, it will generate more business without any dependence on the LIC and the government assistance fund. And remember about IDBI, it was established in 1964. 1964, its headquarters is in Mumbai, and its chairman is M.R. Kumar. M.R. Kumar. MD and CEO is Rakesh Sharma. Rakesh Sharma. Tagline is Bank Aisa Dost Jaisa. Bank Aisa Dost Jaisa. Now we can move to the question of the day. What was the question of 6th of May 2021? Question was, when was the banking ombudsman scheme was first introduced in India? So guys, answer of this question is very simple, and so many students gave us right answer and commented in the comment box, and I am telling you all the students that you are right, and answer of this question is 1995. So banking ombudsman is basically quasi-judicial authority functioning under you can say the Banking Regulation Act of 1949, and it was established in 1995, and it was launched by Reserve Bank of India with an objective to provide quicker solution to customer complaints, and it comes under the section 35A of the Banking Regulation Act of 1949. So remember, it was first launched in 1995. Now we are moving to the question of the day. What is the question? Who of the following plays the vital role in setting up the National Housing Bank? It means you have to tell me the member, or you can say the chairman of that committee, which recommended for setting up of the National Housing Bank. So guys, only answer in the comment box. I am waiting your answer. You have to provide us 700 plus likes. You have to subscribe this channel, and you have to press the bell button so that you can receive the notification on time. And it is Affairs Cloud promise that it will boost your confidence in the general awareness section, and it is my personal promise that if you're watching the videos regularly and if you're reading the current affairs from the PDF, then your current affairs section will go strong, because 90 to 95% questions which you are covering from the videos and the PDFs are coming in your exam. So that's why this is very important thing that you are attached with the Affairs Cloud, because your 90 to 95% questions will be covered. And it is my promise that if you are subscribing from the for the PDFs, then your current affairs section will definitely go strong. And you can subscribe with the description box link, because with the description box link you can download our application, and after that you can subscribe for 1 year as well as for 2 years. And guys, we are providing 10% extra discount if you use this code ASH10. And guys, thank you for watching this video, and don't take life so much serious. Always be happy, because happiness is the key of success. Thank you guys. Take care and bye bye.